Have you ever walked into a room and felt like no one really saw you? Not your looks, but your mind, your essence. Why do some people see beyond words while others hide behind masks? Maybe you're not complicated. Maybe the world is just too shallow for your depth. What if the problem was never you? There's a silent pain that only deep thinkers carry. A kind of loneliness that doesn't scream, but weighs heavy. The more you understand, the more disconnected you feel. Is awareness a curse in disguise? Or are we waking up in a world that prefers to stay asleep? Do you ever feel like you're moving at a different rhythm? Like the world whispers while you hear in screams? While everyone's distracted by the surface, you notice the details no one else sees. The expressions, the silences, the contradictions, and it's exhausting because feeling deeply isn't easy. In casual conversations, you try to fit in, you smile, you respond like everyone else, but inside you're begging for something real, something beyond the weather, the gossip, the automatic small talk. And when you finally bring up what really matters, the air turns cold. People pull away, as if your truth made them uncomfortable. You start wondering, am I too intense? But the truth is, you just feel what most people pretend not to. And that's not a flaw, it's a rare gift. But living with it takes strength, because every shallow interaction leaves you emptier inside. And still you keep trying, dimming your light so you don't scare others, rewording your questions so you don't sound weird, swallowing your emotions to feel accepted. But something inside you knows, this isn't your truth. And that's why you're here, because you want to understand. You carry a void no one sees, always surrounded yet rarely connected. People hear your words, but they don't hear your soul. And this quiet loneliness, the kind you can't explain out loud, follows you like a shadow. It's not the absence of people, it's the absence of truth. Your mind never stops. You overthink, feel too much, imagine futures, relive the past, and question everything. Even the simple things. But nothing is simple when you see things deeply. And it's tiring, because while others live on autopilot, you're trying to make sense of it all. Sometimes all you want is peace. Not external silence, but that unreachable inner stillness. Between overthinking and underconnecting, a kind of existential anxiety is born. A longing to find yourself in a world built for people who don't think. And yet, there's a hidden desire, a desire to be seen, not for the mask you wear, but for who you truly are, to be understood without needing to explain. But that desire crashes into the world's fear of depth, and so you go quiet. You think too much. How many times have you heard that like it's a flaw? As if thinking deeply is something to be fixed. But what if the problem isn't thinking too much, but a world that feels too little? A world afraid of real questions and running from hard answers. Be lighter. Another common advice, as if your depth is a burden you need to drop. But true lightness doesn't come from the surface. It's born from embracing your own intensity. Who said feeling deeply was a problem? You need to fit in. But do you really? Or does true belonging happen when you stop trying to squeeze into molds that were never made for you? Society tells us conformity is safety. But maybe for you, conformity is a quiet form of dying. Just pretend everything's fine, as if silence is maturity, as if ignoring pain is strength, but pretending empties your soul. You weren't made to lie to yourself. Your discomfort isn't weakness. It's your truth asking to be heard. Carl Jung once said, "The deep thinker lives in a world not made for him." The conscious mind, the one that sees, questions, and feels, clashes with a society built on routines, appearances, and repetition. The discomfort you feel isn't weakness. It's the price of being awake in a world that prefers sleep. According to Jung, the deeper you dive into yourself, the farther you feel from the collective. Not because you're wrong, but because you begin to see what others avoid. emotional wounds, internal contradictions, social illusions. Your anguish isn't excess, it's clarity. Existential psychology says this too. Existential anxiety is born when we deny who we are just to please the world. And many people live like that without realizing. When you bury your depth just to be accepted, conflict arises. A soul trapped in a role it never chose. That's your pain, not being misunderstood for lack of words, but for having too much truth. You feel too much, think too much, notice too much, but you're not alone. This video is your safe space to reflect, and in the next part, we'll reveal why your pain has a purpose and how it might be your greatest strength. There once was a boy who heard the wind like it was a song. While others chased trophies and goals, he stopped to watch ants carrying leaves or clouds changing color. "You think too much," they'd say. So he fell silent, keeping his questions like secrets inside. Time passed and the boy grew up, learned to smile automatically, say what others wanted to hear. But inside, he still listened to the wind. It was like living in two worlds, one where masks were required and one where only the soul could speak. Every day was a quiet dance between who he was and who he had to be. One day he met someone who also heard the wind. Their conversation wasn't about weather or work. It was about longing, dreams, and the fear of dying. For the first time, he felt whole. But in the end, that person left, as if there was no space to stay. And he understood depth attracts, but it also scares. Since then, he chose the path of presence, of truth. But it came at a cost, because living deeply means walking with your feet in the world and your soul in the invisible. And it's about that cost, the hidden side of the deep thinker's journey, that we'll speak next. Feeling deeply is like walking with your heart exposed. While the world rushes by, light and distracted, you see the cracks, the screaming silences, the unspoken wounds, and it drains you. Not just physical tiredness, it's soul fatigue, a weight no one sees, but you carry every single day. Some days everything feels like too much. The light, the noise, the demands, even a simple conversation. You wonder, is there something wrong with me? But the truth is, there's nothing wrong with feeling what others choose to ignore. That's not weakness, it's courage. Still, that courage comes at a price: silent isolation. You become everyone's safe space, the one who listens, understands, holds space. But who holds you? Who notices when you're breaking inside? The problem with being strong is that the world forgets you bleed too. And when you finally break, no one understands. But you always seem so balanced, they say. Yet within that pain lies something sacred, the seed of transformation. The soul's lowest point is also the start of its rise, because those who truly touch pain can finally touch truth. And the next step in your journey is learning how to turn your weight into strength, your pain into light. There comes a moment when you understand you're not broken, you're awake. Your pain isn't weakness, and it's awareness. You feel more because you see more, and that vision is a rare gift. When you stop fighting your nature, you begin to turn it into power. What once hurt you begins to shape you. Loneliness gives way to clarity. Anxiety becomes awareness. Depth transforms into presence. You start filtering what enters your space, choosing what surrounds you, protecting your energy. And in that process, peace becomes your ally, not the silence outside, but the peace of finally being who you are. You no longer need to fit in. Your mission isn't to be understood by everyone. It's to be a light for those also searching for meaning. Your pain shaped your empathy. Your reflection gave you wisdom. Your sensitivity became your compass. And now you walk with purpose, with truth, with soul. The world might still not understand you, but now you understand yourself, and that's enough. Because those who know themselves don't need permission to shine. Those who embrace their depth don't fear the dark. You are your own light, quiet, fierce, unstoppable. And in the next step, we'll show you how to keep that fire alive amid the chaos. Maybe no one told you this before, but you are not alone. The world may not know what to do with your depth, but it is real, valid, and necessary. You don't feel too much. You feel what others have trained themselves to ignore. That's not a flaw. It's a gift, sharpened by time and pain. Take a deep breath. Feel this moment. You no longer need to shrink to fit into small spaces. Your wide mind, your tender heart, your search for truth, they all brought you here. And here, you are understood. Here, your depth is welcome. Here, you are whole. Yes, the journey is lonely, but when one awakened soul meets another, something changes. The world feels less cold. The weight feels lighter, because being truly seen is rare and transformative. You are seen now, and this is just the beginning. Thank you for staying until the end. If this content spoke to you, like, comment, and subscribe. Your presence here makes all the difference.